First, a quick disclaimer. I own none of the digital prints used in this video, and all of my sources are cited in the description. It begins in the shadowy depths of the national parks in the United States of America, where there's rumoured to live a huge, hairy, monstrous creature, commonly referred to as Bigfoot. Oh wait, is it not said to live a humanoid Wendigo, with animalistic features including the insatiable desire for human flesh? Or was it rumoured that there lives a band of undomesticated cannibal humans known as feral people? What if the national parks are haunted by all three? This is the real fear for many Americans who are suspicious about the vast areas of unmonitored wilderness and its possibly endangering contents. In this video, we will be exploring how and why serial missing person cases have developed an association to mythical creatures localized around America's national parks as part of the Missing 411 conspiracy. So, what exactly is the Missing 411 conspiracy, you ask? Since 2007, the US Department of Justice have employed NAMUS, the National Missing and Unidentified Persons Department, to digitally record details of missing persons across the United States. Their data shows that from the average 600,000 reported vanishings each year, just under 2,000 remain unsolved and are closed after a year as cold cases due to the inability of the government to continue funding the labour and equipment needed for searches. NAMUS have since labelled this unspoken phenomenon as the nation's silent mass disaster. After a year, bodies are rarely identified, and families and friends are often left with unanswered questions surrounding the vanishing person. When the imagined conspirator is not obvious in cases with such little evidence as these, people often look for something or someone to blame to try and make sense of their situation. Conspiracy theories often have attractive aspects that offer that support and hope in time of tragedy when Americans believe their government is neglecting or lying to them. As such, the Missing 411 conspiracy suggests that the disappearances of people from US national parks is not random, but part of a systematic plan targeting American families through cannibalistic creatures. So, who or what are these alien beasts? They are different manifestations of the same threat. In 1964, renowned American historian and intellectual Richard Hofstadter labelled this predetermined cautious response as the paranoid style in American politics. In his essay of the same name, Hofstadter describes the trend of suspicion towards minority groups and secret societies because of their potential threat to American life. There can be multiple conspiracy theories alike in solving one conspiracy's unanswered components due to different presentations of the paranoid style, resulting in various interpretations of the same fear. However, the more mystery or lack of details allows room for speculation by concerned civilians. In the case of Missing 411, the three most popular modes of terror are Bigfoot, Wendigos, and Feral People. The legend of Bigfoot stems from the first recorded sighting of a large footprint in 1958 in Northern California, which has since developed into a conspiracy theory about a giant, hairy animal with human-like features who lives in national parks of America. Ever since, paranoia and curiosity have caused the spread of theoretical pictures and evidence trying to prove its existence. The Wendigo is supposedly an evil spirit in the form of a man crossed with a deer, with a voracious hunger and the power to control humans, even forcing them to kill loved ones. They have historical roots in Appalachian mythology and are supposedly from the colder regions of Canada and northwest United States, where Native Americans once inhabited. The feral people, or feral children, are a more recent phenomenon, with popularity gaining on TikTok, Reddit and Twitter. In addition, episode 6 of American Horror Story titled Roanoke documented the lost people living in American wilderness who hunt on their territory. The reconstruction of common conspiracies in media reminds people of their options that weren't the government's explanations, whether produced in a serious or fantastical manner. Now on to why exactly people are concerned by America's national parks. On March 1st, 1872, President Ulysses S. Grant allocated 2 million acres of Wyoming to form Yellowstone National Park as the first area of conservationist land protected by the United States government exclusively for all the people for scenic and recreational reasons. Today, the government has established 63 American nationally named parks covering 211,000 kilometres squared, which is larger than England and Scotland combined, therefore too vast to constantly monitor. Roderick Nash, a leading American environmental historian, exemplifies Hofstadter's paranoid style claim in his 1970 article for the American Quarterly titled "The American Invention of National Parks." Nash advocates that, in quotes, the wilderness was frightening, unordered condition from which man was relieved to have emerged. Parks were symbols of this emergence of control over nature. Quotes closed. Nash's use of alarming terminology and conviction in parks imply that the wilderness held things man should be afraid of, and that the parks were instrumental in allowing Americans to enjoy its land without its original fears. The fear of the unknown wilderness, which Nash speaks of, provides us with the origin of uncertainty and apprehension surrounding national parks in local folklore. In addition, conspiracy about government-made tunnels under the national parks being true has led to a rise in recent conspiracy theories involving creatures who travel unnoticed via the tunnels and then attack in the national parks. They are also managed by government-run agencies including the National Park Service, whose ranger's job is to protect the wildlife and historical land enclosed. For those harbouring the paranoid style towards the American government, the setting for missing 411 theories is credible, so assumptions were made that the government was attempting to hide a secret deep in the forests of the national park. You may be wondering why people are fearing kidnapping cannibals when animal attacks or getting lost is assumed more palpable by the majority. The feared creatures we are looking at all have human origins, which implies that humans fear their wild counterparts embodied in these animals. Their time spent in the wilderness have allegedly developed them into these undomesticated cannibal savages, embodying characteristics that America's Puritan colonizers strove to reject. The Puritans did tend to carry the endless fear that someone or something would cause America to astray from its natural pious path, favouring, in quotes, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, end quotes, as stated in the Declaration of Independence from 1776. This threat is embodied in these three creatures, Bigfoot, Wendigos, and Feral People. They have the potential to take away life and therefore restrict the liberties of American civilians away from their homes or national parks, presenting a larger threat to a nation's pursuit of happiness. The Puritan belief is present today in American culture, as the intentionality of creating the conspiracy was out of protection of the American life. The aim of the conspiracy is to reduce the amount of missing people and to increase the chances of survival. You may still be thinking, who really believes this, and why? As well as loved ones of missing people, many involved in the Missing 411 conspiracy theory research are just curious people. Missing 411 cases, which have been circulated recently over social media platforms such as Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit, have greatly influenced the formation of conspiracy theories from cases of vanishing people in the United States. The benefit of such online platforms allows the spread of information more efficiently and extensively because social grouping allows people to connect and share stories with like-minded people who they might not have otherwise encountered. This has allowed people such as David Paulides to observe certain patterns in disappearances which he and others suggest are evidence for a conspiracy rather than random attacks or runaways. Paulides coined the term Missing 411 in his subsequent book and documentary series. Paulides is an educated researcher and previously worked for the police. Therefore, he is seen as a valuable source of governmental inside information to those who are suspicious. Despite his belief being unique, Paulides' accolades appear respectable but ordinary, which helps persuade other suspicious people into conforming to believe in the same conspiracy theory. Research from Dr. Melba Ketchum supports Paulides' claim, with her papers like findings with paleogenomic data derived from 12,000-year-old human remains unearthed in North America, which essentially suggests that science has proven that Bigfoot DNA is both human and non-human. However, even scientific evidence is disputed due to an increase of pseudoscience, misleading people into believing into a desired conspiracy. This is often used as a tactic if believers want to gain more following and traction. In one response, science writer Sharon Hill criticises Ketchum's mythology on Bigfoot DNA. While Hill notes that some of Ketchum's work is plausible, she concludes that, in quotes, Dr. Ketchum lost every shred of scientific credibility through her short-circuiting genetic experts and the process of peer review, close quotes. The lack of scientific credibility assumed by Hill is often overshadowed by the convincing presentation of Ketchum's results. Ketchum declines from using the term Bigfoot or Sasquatch, but in turn uses complex vocabulary and statistics which are written in scientific and scholarly format. With little knowledge in her area of expertise, many people assume high level of scientific validity and assert importance on this information, which therefore demonstrates how pseudoscience can be very convincing in appearing valid and reputable. Furthermore, if the pseudoscience shared is very biased towards a minority, it can cause more problems amongst scared humans. In her thesis, Cannibalism in Contact Narratives and the Evolution of the Wendigo, Michelle Leitz comments on the potential harm on Native American representation from contemporary perceptions of Wendigos. Wendigos have appeared in TV shows such as X-Files, Supernatural, and is central to the thriller aspect in Stephen King's 1983 novel Pet Sematary and its double film remake. However, she warns that, in quotes, non-native authors still associate cannibalism with indigenous cultures as a historical means of creating a monstrous representation of the other, close quotes. Leitz implies here that supporting racially biased conspiracy theories may lead to people to look to blame a racial minority due to pre-existing animosity and frequency bias. This demonstrates how conspiracy theories can create indisputable harm and because of encouraged suspicious motivations. In summary, we have learnt how the missing 411 conspiracy developed into a fear of American national parks due to the uncertainty of their contents. The park's inhabitants may be disputable, but the monsters established symbolise the real fear man has about the lack of control and incivilization, stemming back to distrust in the government. Using this example, we've also seen how various conspiracy theories can interact and overlap in trying to explain the same conspiracy. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and good luck spotting your Bigfoot, or Wendigo, or feral people.